This is your daily briefing. You're most welcome to it. May I say, before we kick off, from our home to yours, bah humbug. We'll kick off with Antonio Conte, who's announced we have to sign players without big salaries. Just think about that for a moment. On a very superficial level, this is the manager of a football club that has £1 billion stadium, and he's playing the poverty card, and we'll come back to that later. But also, why isn't everybody leading with this from the reportage after the press conference? And I tell you for why. It's because unless stuff is unerringly upbeat, journalists are very nervous about doing it. And we've been getting these absolutely empty boxes of articles where they're saying to us, well, Harry Kane needs a bit set after the World Cup, but, he'll be okay. He'll come back. And Cuti Romero will hopefully play again before April. Stuff like that. Stuff that's absolutely vacuous. But that is what a lot of stupid people want. And I'm going to continue banging the drum that you people are intelligent enough to take the truth. And, I'm not looking for negative spins to put on things. I'm just saying that for this manager to come out with that, you would never hear the Chelsea boss, the Manchester United boss, the Manchester City boss say that. And I'm going to come back to it later with the money. We're not skint members. We're not on our uppers. The whole thing is absolute fiction. There's plenty of cash sloshing around, and as I've said to you before, if you think the robo pitch upgrade isn't going to be prioritised over player salaries, as this heavily suggests, and he talks to Daniel Levy every day or once a week, whatever it is, then you're a fool. And this sits uneasily against the fact that Tony's clearly disinclined to give these wunderkinds meaningful minutes. Djed Spence has played 3 minutes since he's been at Spurs, and there's talk of him going on loan. And the closest that Tony's going to get to the players he wants are when we buy these sort of OAPs giving us their swan song minutes. And yeah, there's some good in there, don't get me wrong. Ivan Perisic, I think, is an insanely good player. I don't have any truck with this, he's old, he's tired, he's this, that and the other. I think it's a very lazy view of things. Look at his World Cup performances. That tells you everything you need to know. And now we're being linked with Adrian Rabiot, or Rabiot as they were calling him. Maybe the T is silent, who cares? But he's 27, he's 28 on the 4th of April. There's no... And the toxic positivity mob, they will come at you and tell you that we're building. We're not building anything. And this is the thing. You've got Ryan Sessegnon, is a far, far, far inferior player than Perisic. So what are we building with him? Every time Sessegnon plays, he's being put in the shop window, is my feeling, and we are going backwards as a football club. Every time I see his name come up on the screen, total waste of rations. And the question is, how long can this farce be sustained? When the press conference first came out, there was a teaser clip. I've had really poor Wi-Fi, boring story, but I wasn't able to upload the thing until the following day, which is anyway. And Conte's been off for 6 weeks, right? Now, he's a multi-millionaire. I would presume that when he wasn't doing this intensive pre-season training with the boys, he was back in Italy with the family. So you're talking about a relatively speaking relaxed lifestyle. And if this is him refreshed after 6 weeks of intermittent rest, then I wouldn't want to see him after he'd been sleeping in his car for a couple of days. Didn't look well, didn't look happy, didn't look convincing. Tony doesn't look motivated to me. He looks like a guy who knows sooner or later he's going to have to tell his wife that he was in actual fact sacked a few weeks ago, and he's been spending most of his day eating his lunch in the library. The Athletic went out on a limb and said that Tottenham would be unlikely to throw money around, and that Daniel Levy had repeatedly been clear with the Italian in private that there is not a huge amount of money to spend. And we had, of course, the toxic positivity mob telling us that we had a great window last winter. Yeah, we did, but it was the only January window worth a damn in the last 20 years. And if you don't believe me, look it up. The site to use is Transfer Market, by the way. It's very simple and straightforward. And like I said to you, need to stamp on the argument. Anybody giving you any lip Sound like a 90-year-old. But anybody giving any toss about this business that, oh yeah, but we can't compete with the oil barons, we can't compete with the oligarchs. Absolute nonsense. Look at the business that Chelsea are doing at the moment. I'm not your mummy, all right? I'm not going to lay it out here. You don't want me to go through what Chelsea are doing, but buy a newspaper, go online, have a look. You know, these clubs that are supposedly untouchable in the view of some because of their dubious money washing, blah, 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 whatever you want to call it, they're just getting on with business. And Tottenham are doing everything they can not to get on with business. We are not football's poor relation. The philosophy at the club, at this club, Tottenham, comes from Levy and the board, who are so risk-averse that buying players is seen as a wild gamble. It's a part of the business enterprise that needs to be controlled and curtailed when you can. And I would say it is a wild gamble if you don't know what you're doing. There's no guarantees in life. People buy bad players, but goodness me, Tottenham don't half get through a few of them. Levy should be the man being told how much he is being given to invest in infrastructure, and not the other way around, where the guy in charge of the infrastructure tells the club how much is left to spend on players. That is the diametric opposite of how you run a football club. And Football Insider, who are relatively speaking dreadful, okay, but the guy who does this, and is it the Lily White Rose Twitter account, does have a few clues, and he's saying that Spurs were set to announce club record commercial income for the 2021-2022 campaign, which is the first kind of green shoots after COVID campaign. Income from sponsorships, merchandise sale will marginally surpass the I'm absolutely numerically dyslexic, the 161.5 million that they earned throughout the 2021 season. The stadium will be a game changer. Yeah, it will be if you're Enoch. Tottenham would have us believe that all of these off-road vehicle sponsorships, supplier of toothpaste, I don't know, all these pointless, utterly, oh, look what we did. That's the only way I can refer to them, because I don't see them, and they're all masked in that language. Oh, it's a multi-year deal. We can't tell you the specifics of it because you wouldn't understand. What I would understand is if you just took the money that we have been ploughing into this business of yours for under your auspices for the last 20 years or more, and did the right thing in respect of the actual football club, the football team, because most people, if you stop them in the street, aren't interested in all this other stuff. I would question how much tangible net worth it has. You can't get naming rights sponsor for the stadium. I've heard all of the waffle. I've set my alarm clock for the end of January. I would next expect Spurs to announce that they're on the real push, and despite interest from Google, etc. ... Absolutely unbelievable piffle. And the business with the infrastructure investment, I'm going to keep mentioning it until it changes, because there is still nothing on the diary on the website there. Live music is back, and there are existing acts. There are acts from 40 years ago. There are venues I see all over the place. I've started going to one or two things recently, and people are out in force. And all you monkeys, all you cowards who are refusing to commute, and I'm quite pleased that you can't get a dental or a doctor appointment because they're hiding. They're all hiding because they're cowards like you. I mean, I just want to know why is the diary empty? It doesn't make any sense to me. We've had Guns N' Roses. We've had Lady Gaga. Could it be that Tottenham are asking too much money? Who knows? But the upshot of all of this is, I'm just going to say to you, keep your eye on the birdie. Watch Conte. Listen to the way he talks. Watch his body language. I think he might have worked out for himself he's actually in the wrong club. That's it for now. Good luck. Keep it Tottenham.